Welcome. Good afternoon and welcome to the Department of Mathematics 2024 Commencement Ceremony. My name is Brian Underwood and I am the Department Manager for Mathematics. It is wonderful to see you all here today and to celebrate all of our graduates and their tremendous achievements. Before we begin the event, I would like to explain some general rules so that everyone can fully enjoy the program. With this spirit in mind, I request that you please silence your cell phones, stay in your seats, and keep the aisles clear. For this event specifically, time, place, and manner policies apply that are aligned with our Berkeley principles of community. You may not engage in any action that disrupts the events or prevents the speakers from being heard during the next 90 minutes within Zellerbach Auditorium. This includes, but is not limited to, shouting over speakers, speaking out of turn, blocking others' views of the event, disrupting official activities, and specifically displaying banners and signs that block others' view of the event. Individuals who are disrupted will be asked to leave. Those individuals may be ejected from the event or have other actions taken, and campus members may be referred to the appropriate disciplinary process. We encourage you to briefly cheer for your graduate, but to help keep the ceremony moving, please limit your cheering so we can hear the names of each graduate without interruption. Please do not blow air horns. Graduate Images event photography will be taking photos of your graduate, so please do not step into the aisle or approach the front of the stage to take pictures. Cal Performances has requested that all guests stay seated and take pictures from their seats. At the conclusion of the ceremony, the graduates will exit first, and we ask that no one else exit until the graduate procession has concluded. We are excited to welcome you to a reception outside in the plaza where we have a variety of Berkeley's best cupcakes and refreshments for you to enjoy. So please stick around and celebrate with us. Your cooperation with these requests is greatly appreciated. And now, please join me in welcoming Michael Wong and the Math Orchestra, who is joining us for their 29th season with the department's commencement ceremony to begin playing. If able, please stand to welcome our 2024 graduates.
Graduates and guests, you may be seated. I'm Martin Olson, Chair of the Berkeley Department of Mathematics, and I would like to welcome you all to today's celebration in honor of our graduating students. Let me begin by extending my warmest greetings to our graduating students. You have come a long way from many different backgrounds and following many different paths, and you have succeeded in our demanding undergraduate and graduate programs through very challenging times. Faculty and guests, please join me in congratulating our graduating students on their accomplishments. Second, let me acknowledge and thank the parents, spouses, grandparents, families, significant others, and friends of our graduates for their encouragement and support. Graduates, please join me in acknowledging and thanking them all for their support. And finally, I would like to acknowledge all the alumni from UC Berkeley. Thank you for coming today, and thank you for supporting our graduates. If you're a Cal alumnus or alumna, please stand. Let me now take this opportunity to speak directly to the graduates. You have excelled at one of the world's premier universities and have earned a degree in a very challenging subject. I know that many of you here did not have an in-person graduation ceremony when you finished high school, which makes today's ceremony all the more special. This is an important day. Enjoy it. The experience of mathematics is different for each of you. During your time in our department, you have studied a variety of different topics in very demanding courses. You have engaged with many different parts of mathematics, possibly including analysis, topology, optimization, probability, number theory, and modeling, to name a few. The details differ for each of you, but beyond these specific topics, you have learned skills that extend far beyond mathematics: clear thinking, sound reasoning, writing rigorous arguments, and skills for creatively and systematically attacking complex problems. Some of you will continue in academic careers in mathematics teaching and research. Others will put mathematics and mathematical skills to work in business, engineering, and in other branches of science. Some of you will pursue careers that seem to involve little or no mathematics at all. Regardless, over time, you will probably forget the details of some of the mathematical definitions, theorems, and proofs that you studied. Eventually, you might not even remember exactly which courses you took. But you have all learned to think carefully, deeply, creatively, and clearly. And these are skills that you will never forget, and that will be of vital importance in whatever you do. Your degree is from a math department that is consistently ranked among the very best math departments in the world. I'm proud to be a member of this department, and especially proud of the public nature of our university. In my opinion, at least, the University of California is the best public university in the world, and the math department is the best math department at a public university. Our world is facing numerous extremely serious challenges that you probably are reminded of daily when you read the news. You have completed your studies here, and many of you will never have to take a midterm or final again. Believe it or not, those exams may have been the easy part. As the word commencement indicates, this is a beginning. Now things get real if they weren't already. You all have a role to play in making the world a better place, and the mathematical reasoning skills you have acquired are needed more than ever. The obstacles may seem daunting, but your abilities and character brings me great optimism that we will meet the challenges ahead. I hope that you will remember your time as a student here with fondness. In addition to learning mathematics, you have made connections with your fellow students and with the faculty and staff in the department that I hope you will treasure for the rest of your life. We always enjoy hearing from past graduates, so please keep in touch. Please stay engaged with mathematics and with the mathematics department at Berkeley. Congratulations to you all. I now have the distinct pleasure to introduce the Dean of the College of Letters and Science, Mathematical and Physical Sciences Division, Dean Steve Kahn.
Thank you, Martin. Let me also take this opportunity to congratulate our graduates and to welcome our many guests who have come to campus to celebrate with us on this glorious occasion. The most enjoyable element of being a faculty member at Berkeley is the opportunity to interact with our wonderful students. Our undergraduates at Berkeley are enormously diverse. They come from a rich variety of backgrounds and bring a wealth of fresh ideas and perspectives to our classes. The chance to expose these students to some of the most intricate concepts in the mathematical and physical sciences for the first time is incredible. There's no other word to describe it. Our graduate students are among the most brilliant young mathematicians in the world. As you are probably aware, mathematicians often make their most significant and fundamental contributions to the field at a relatively young age. The PhD recipients you will see hooded today have already made their individual marks on their disciplines, and we are confident that they will go on to illustrious careers. The past few years have been trying for our students and faculty in many respects. As we continue to face the challenges ahead, the skills that you, our students, have mastered will be increasingly important. The notion that abstract and strange concepts can be unambiguously proved is quite foreign to many in our society. The intellectual rigor that is required to master modern mathematical coursework is underappreciated generally. Today, we have the opportunity to celebrate your achievements with your family, friends, and colleagues, and I am very proud and happy to be able to share in that. Let me close by thanking our faculty and staff in the math department who are truly amazing. As dean, I am especially appreciative of your department chair, Martin Olson, who has been a delight to work with. Martin took on the chairship last July and has done a fantastic job keeping the department together and functioning well. Thank you, Martin, and congratulations once again to all of our graduates.
Thank you, Dean Kahn. We now turn to the recognition of undergraduate honors and awards. Professor Richard Bamler, Vice Chair for Undergraduate Affairs, will assist me. We'll begin with the Departmental Citation and Paul Chernoff Memorial Prize. Each year, the Department of Mathematics awards its departmental citation to the top mathematics scholar in the graduating class. The citation winner will be presented with a certificate signed by the department chair and the chancellor of the campus. The departmental citation winner is also presented with the Paul Chernoff Memorial Prize for Extraordinary Scholarship in Mathematics. The Chernoff Prize was established in memory of Paul Chernoff by his brother Donald Chernoff. The 2023-24 citation winner and Chernoff Award winners are Zachary Slonim. Zachary Slonim. Yeah. Next, the Dorothea Klumpke Roberts Prize in Mathematics. The Dorothea Klumpke Roberts Prize was established by Mrs. Dorothea Klumpke Roberts, astronomer, in honor of her parents and husband. It consists of a cash award to a senior or seniors who have demonstrated truly exceptional scholarship in mathematics. The 2023-24 prizes are given to Alexander Bouquet, Sean Guan, Rhea Comerl, Wade McCormick, Siddharth Menon, Lakshay Patel, and Richard Wu. And Fang Yu and Lin. The Percy Lionel Davis Award for Excellence in Scholarship in Mathematics. The Percy Lionel Davis Award was established by the daughter of Percy Lionel Davis in honor of her father, a Cal graduate in engineering from the class of 1913. It consists of a cash prize to a senior or seniors who have demonstrated excellent scholarship in mathematics. The 2023-24 awards are given to Aaron Agulnik, Maxwell Black, Alex Fu, Henry Purcell, Vibhu Ravindran, Zane Shields, Wei Sun, Alec Lee, Isadora White. Thank you, Professor Bamler. The honors program. The Department of Mathematics has an undergraduate honors program. In short, to be an honors student, one must maintain an exceptional grade point average and must either write an honors thesis or complete 2 graduate courses with excellent performance. We will recognize those students graduating with honors as we present them with their scrolls later in the ceremony. But now, let us congratulate all these candidates for their exceptional achievements. At this point, I would like to introduce this year's valedictorian, Zachary Slonim, who is graduating this semester with a major in mathematics, achieving highest honors with a perfect 4.0 GPA. The Mathematics Prize Committee was particularly impressed by both Zachary's stellar academic performance throughout his undergraduate career, as well as his research pursuits. For the past 2 summers, Zachary has participated in selective research experiences for undergraduate programs at Texas State and at Cornell. In both, he has had highly impactful experiences leading to multiple published and submitted papers, which is very unusual for undergraduates in mathematics. Faculty who have worked with Zachary describe him as an outstanding student and noted his natural leadership ability and perseverance. He has been praised for taking initiative in organizing and planning and for finding avenues to continue deep learning of topics that at first seem out of reach. We're pleased to share that Zachary will continue his mathematical journey next year by starting a PhD program in mathematics at UCLA. Zachary, the podium is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm very honored to be here today. Thank you all for giving me the privilege of allowing me to speak here. I'm going to come clean with you all. In my freshman year, I slept through most of my classes. To be fair, I was stuck in lockdown in Australia, and all of my lectures took place from 1 to 6 in the morning. Still, I was left watching recordings, as I'm sure many of you know. I know that we all probably want to forget about COVID at this point, but it truly was a huge part of our college experience, even if it seems so long ago. So allow me to reminisce on the past for just a bit. Like most of you, I'm sure, I never had the chance to stay in a dorm. At first, it seemed a boon to stay at home with my parents. I got to enjoy free home-cooked meals, easy access to laundry, a bedroom all to myself, and most importantly, I could pet my dog, whose name, by the way, is also Bear, whenever I wanted. However, I quickly realized that not only was I missing out on the first 25% of my time at Berkeley, but it also felt like I would never experience the college life that I had dreamed of. I feel like we, the class of 2024, share the experience of entering sophomore year extremely isolated. But I believe this only brought us closer together later. Despite this isolation and rough start, the world didn't wait for us to catch up. This is especially true at a place like Berkeley. None of the classes are easy, no grades are given out for free, and sometimes it felt like our problem sets were carefully designed only to maximize our suffering. In hindsight, I can see that this was actually a blessing in disguise. It forced us to work together, to team up, and tackle these problems as a community. As I'm sure you all know, math is an extremely collaborative subject. Indeed, it would be impossible to read and understand all of the papers that are published in any given day, let alone grasp the entirety of mathematical knowledge that has been built up over thousands of years by hundreds of thousands of people. No one person can understand any significant part of math, and instead, we have to rely on our peers. This is equally the case in college. We've all learned by now that collaboration is paramount to success in this major, and I'm happy that I was shown this early in my academic career. Despite some initial nervousness to ask people for help, I immediately felt welcomed by my fellow students who were suffering through the exact same issues as me. None of us would be where we are today without the help and support of those around us. So I'd like everyone to just take a moment to appreciate how important your friends have been throughout your undergraduate journey. From weekly study groups to late-night cram sessions, from peer tutoring at the Student Learning Center to those crucial EdSTEM discussion clarifications, I hope I speak for everyone here when I say that the undergraduate math community at Berkeley is one of the best things to happen to me in the last 4 years. But sometimes, collaboration results in an unwanted byproduct, imposter syndrome. Whether braving a professor's office hours or just working in a group on a problem set, it always seems like everyone else is getting things way faster than you are. This feeling is so deeply ingrained in the culture of math that even when I was told that I was valedictorian, my mind immediately went to the long list of my classmates who I feel are more deserving than me. We've all been demoralized and demotivated at times, but keep in mind that everyone else is feeling the exact same way, and really all we can ever do is just try our best. I'll finish as is canonical. As I said before, my success in my academic journey was not a solo effort. In addition to all of you, I'd like to extend a wholehearted thanks to UC Berkeley as a whole, all my math professors and GSIs, the administrative staff and major advisors, and of course, my parents and sister for supporting me through this whole amazing adventure. My fellow graduates, you are all awesome. Don't forget all the work you put into earning this degree. You truly deserve it, and much more. I wish you all the very best in the future, and I hope to maybe see some of you again soon. Fiat Lux. Thank you.
Next, we recognize the winners of the Graduate Student Awards. Professors Ken Ribbett and Tom Scanlon will assist me. We'll start with the Kenneth Ribbett and Lisa Goldberg Award in Mathematics. This prize has been established in honor of Kenneth Ribbett and Lisa Goldberg by the family of Professor Ribbett. A cash prize is awarded each year to a graduate student in the Department of Mathematics whose research focus is in number theory or another branch of algebra. Recipients are selected for exceptional work, which may be completed work or work in progress. Professor Rivet will assist me. The 2023-24 awards are given to Xianglong Ni and Tong Zhao. Thank you, Professor Rivet. The Herb Alexander Prize in Pure Mathematics. This prize was established in the memory of Herb Alexander, an internationally recognized mathematician and a much-loved husband and father who died from cancer in 1999 at the age of 58. Professor Alexander received his PhD from Berkeley in 1968 under the supervision of Hans Bremermann and Don Saracen. Inspired by Professor Alexander's fond memories of his time here at Berkeley, a cash prize is awarded for an outstanding dissertation in pure mathematics. The 2023-24 award is given to Benjamin Pinault. In addition, winner of the 2023-24 Herb Alexander Prize, who could not join us today, are Oliver Edmer and Junsheng Zhang. The Bernard Friedman Memorial Prize in Applied Mathematics. This cash prize was established in 1966 as a memorial to Bernard Friedman, a distinguished applied mathematician and the 9th chair of the Department of Mathematics. The department presents this prize to honor outstanding dissertations in applied mathematics. The 2023-24 Friedman Prize is given to Hishang Zhang. Another winner of the 2023 Friedman Prize who could not join us today was Luke Korkus. Next, we present the Teaching Awards. The Nikki Kosei Memorial Teaching Prize. This prize was established in 1981 as a memorial to Nariaki Kosei, a graduate student from Japan who passed away in a mountaineering accident in the summer of 1980. A cash prize is awarded to a graduate student instructor in mathematics for truly exceptional teaching performance. The 2023-24 awards are given to Esme Ba Zhou and Zhuwen Zhao. Thank you, Professor Scanlon. Next, we would like to recognize our extraordinary graduate student instructors. The Outstanding Graduate Student Instructor Award are presented by the Committee on Teaching of the Berkeley Division of the Academic Senate to those graduate student instructors and undergraduate student instructors who have demonstrated exceptional teaching ability. The following graduates have received this award during their academic careers here. After I read the list, I will ask all these students to stand and to accept your congratulations. Juwaireya Ahmed, Esme Ba Zhou, James Dix, Ethan DeLuigi, Michael Hines, Fang Yuan Lin, Larson Linov, Yelena Mandelstam, Xianglong Ni, Sridhar Rumesh, Zhao Koi Song, Jeannie Catherine Wang, Jihao Yao, Zhuwen Zhao, Maxim Zubkov. Will you please stand? the Distinguished Undergraduate Teaching Award. This award is particularly meaningful because it comes from the students. It was established in 1983 by the Mathematics Undergraduate Student Association, known as MUSA. The graduating class in mathematics, represented by MUSA, presents this award to the professor who, in the sole judgment of the students, contributed most to their mathematical studies. I call upon MUSA President Ben Isley to present this award.
Okay. Congratulations, everybody, on your graduation. Today, I have the fantastic opportunity, the honor, truly, to present this award to Francis Michael Christ, a fantastic teacher and a truly spectacular mentor to the whole undergraduate community and everybody who has been privileged enough to take his classes. Professor Christ, would you please come up here today? Hope you'd allow me to say a few words. Professor, you have been fantastic, as everybody knows. I remember the first class I took with you, complex analysis and real analysis, sort of in the same year. You came into the classroom and you just have a way at the board. You are animated, you are excited, you clearly see the beauty of the subject. I remember that first class you introduced to us the Riemann sphere. You talked about how Mobius transformations affected lines and circles and preserved the geometry. And it was clear that your intention was to share with us that what we were studying was truly a beautiful, beautiful thing. You have been so kind. Inside class, outside of class, in office hours. You have supported my peers and I through countless different subjects and trials. So it is truly an honor today. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And yes.
Well, thank you, Ben, for that wonderful presentation. So first of all, congratulations to the graduates and their families and their supporters. This is your day, not mine. Congratulations. Second, to my own students, many of whom are here, it's been a real privilege to participate in a small way in your journey. And thank you for this recognition, a memory which I will treasure as I transition into what Nabokov would call my ... age. Third, it's my privilege also to acknowledge all my dedicated colleagues in the Berkeley faculty, some of whom are here and behind me, people who share my passion for ideas and for sharing those ideas, especially but not limited to mathematical ideas. And any of them could be here in my place. It's just happenstance I got assigned the right courses. So thank you again, Ben, and thank you and congratulations to all the graduates.
Thank you, Ben. Our commencement speaker this year, Ravi Vakil, is the Robert Grimmett Professor of Mathematics at Stanford University and the President-elect of the American Mathematical Society. He's an algebraic geometer with numerous contributions in that field, as well as nearby areas such as number theory, combinatorics, and mathematical physics. He is particularly known for his work on moduli spaces and intersection theory. His numerous research awards include the Centennial Fellowship from the American Mathematical Society, the Coxeter James Prize from the Canadian Mathematical Society, the Career Grant from the National Science Foundation, and the Presidential Early Career Award for Scientists and Engineers. He is also an outstanding teacher and has been recognized with the Dean's Award for Distinguished Teaching and was a Bash University Fellow in undergraduate education at Stanford. In addition, he's an outstanding mentor of graduate students, supervising numerous PhD students, including members of the Berkeley faculty. Other notable achievements in education and service include co-founding the web resource Math Overflow and the grades 6 through 12 San Francisco educational institution Proof School, and he remains on the boards of both. He also is on the board of the nonprofit National Math Stars, whose mission is to ensure mathematically extraordinary students from all communities have the resources they need to reach the frontiers of math and science. And finally, on a personal note, let me add that Ravi is one of the nicest and most thoughtful people I know. Please join me in welcoming our 2024 Mathematics Commencement speaker, Ravi Vakil.
Thank you very much, Martin. And first of all, congratulations, first and foremost, to the 2024 Berkeley Graduates in Mathematics. Although today you accept a recognition of your accomplishments, you've been a part of our mathematical community for some time. And you're a part of a human intellectual tradition that's among the most ancient, the most profound, and the most transformative. Our lineage, your lineage, goes back thousands of years, and we can trace it definitively through all of recorded history, and it goes back much farther. You're the newest voices joining a conversation that's been ongoing for centuries and much longer. And if you had a chance, you would have a deeply interesting conversation with our forebears from millennia ago, who would be most excited and pleased to hear about what you're thinking about today. Beautiful, powerful, intellectual, mathematical ideas, once released, belong to no one. Mathematics is our communal heritage. The advent of what one might call mathematical thinking in a broad sense, or what one might call formal reasoning, is one of the key aspects of the development of human civilization. And for this reason, this kind of rigorous, logical, and empirical thinking is part of the core of any sort of complete education. So let me unpack this a little bit. There are certain disciplines that change the way that you think, and let me describe it in other contexts to help you see my point. If you know people who've trained as economists, you'll notice that something changed in how they thought and how they interacted with the world over the course of their education. And the same is true for law school, and in computer science, in particular for those who are serious programmers. And these changes aren't true for all fields, but they certainly are true for those who study mathematics. And I'm not ascribing any value, good or bad, to these changes. It's just an important observation that education can change the way you think, and perhaps it really should. Many people are the same intellectually at age 30 as they were when they left high school, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's an age-old argument in education as to whether what we do is teach people how to think or teach people facts. I think the entire argument is patently misguided, and the answer depends on what you're talking about. But in the case of mathematics, the goal is clear. We try to change how people think. But you can't teach people how to think without fundamentally teaching a huge amount of content. The wider public confuses the thinking for the content. People see the forest and somehow only notice that there are a lot of trees. It's like thinking that the reason we want millions of kids playing soccer is because we care particularly about them remembering the rules of the game, rather than the many other benefits such activities bring. By learning to think well, as you all have learned to do, you're then able to master new ideas much more rapidly and effectively than civilians. And this is your superpower. You didn't learn how to think mathematically by watching and copying. You learned how to think mathematically, precisely, rigorously, by doing mathematics. And this is why we have problem sets. And this is why, as courses get fancier and harder, we move farther and farther from the rote thinking that much of the world thinks mathematics is about. This is why mathematics is hard, because at the frontier, either on the theoretical side or where the rubber hits the road in the real world, there is no roadmap. You have to be flexible and powerful in your thinking. And this is also why, more than any other subject in academia, mathematics is a stem cell subject from which so many other subjects over the centuries have calved off. I don't intend a value judgment to this to say that we are in any way better than the younger subjects, from things like physics and the sciences ages ago to perhaps aspects of machine learning today, but I just want to put things in perspective to help us think about our place in the intellectual world. There's a movement in the 20th century of pure mathematicians to isolate themselves from other subjects, to separate themselves from the world. And this explains in my mind why this movement was fundamentally misguided, ahistorical, and an insult to human nature. Paradoxically, the sheer power of mathematics teaches those who know it, such as the people being honored today, humility. We know the reach of the subject, but we also know how little of it we individually understand. This is why mathematics is necessarily a vast communal enterprise, not the solitary pursuit in public imagination. Your wise valedictorian Zachary put it more eloquently than I am when he explained that mathematics has to be a collaborative subject. Most mathematics in the world happens outside the university. Most mathematics in the university happens outside the math department. Most mathematics in the math department happens far from my area of my own deep understanding, but this is precisely why I love being a mathematician. There's no contradiction between thinking deeply about one particular thing and making broad connections. There's no contradiction between highly abstracted and seemingly esoteric thinking and radical interdisciplinarity. There is no contradiction between being a subject firmly based in ancient principles and ideas and being a rapidly evolving, generative, forward-looking subject. You, the graduates of 2024, understand through practice the relation of aesthetics to truth, that beautiful ideas tend to be powerful ideas, that powerful ideas tend to be beautiful, and that there's no royal road to either. And you know that the power of mathematics comes from its generality and adaptability. Now, I'd like to ask you, the graduates, some questions so that everyone can get some sense of you collectively. And I'd like to start off easily, so these will be things you can raise your hands for. Okay, my first question is, do you see yourself as pure or applied? So raise your left hand for pure, right hand for applied, but feel free to raise both hands separately as much as you want. So. Excellent. So, okay, so that's, as you see, just the right mix. I love Berkeley. This is great. Okay, so how many of you have had, in the course of your mathematical education, an aha moment, an epiphany, a moment of revelation where something suddenly made sense, as though someone flipped a switch and a light went on and everything clicked into place? So raise your hand if that happened to you. Okay, so gathered friends and family, this is the magical, almost religious aspect that we mathematicians find hardest to get across to the uninitiated. This is why the most important classes look like they're about information, but secretly they're about revelation, as we just basically heard about in the teaching award. Okay, the next question is probably more for the undergraduates, since graduate degrees are intentionally and necessarily specialized. Who, during their degree, had a serious academic emphasis, not necessarily a second major, but possibly so, in some other subject? Raise your hand. Fantastic. So this is the strength of the US post-secondary system in general, and frankly, Berkeley in particular. Math majors in universities across the country tend to have the lowest minimum course requirements compared to other fields, because by the nature of our beloved subject, we need to offer the most flexibility so people can use it to provide titanium-reinforced intellectual underpinning for something else, or to venture ever more deeply into mathematics itself. So as the most versatile field, mathematics needs particular flexibility for academic programs. Okay, so here's a question. Who's likely going on, if not next year, then perhaps in the future, something further in academia in some sense, or going further into academia professionally? This includes the graduate students who are going further in academia potentially. Okay, great. Who in this group is considering going into something that's not in mathematics narrowly defined? Fantastic. So this should tell you a lot about, this should tell you a tremendous amount. Okay, who's likely going on into something outside of academia? And people can raise their hands more than once. Raise your hand. Great. More than any subject, you, this group, are likely to be eventually venturing into a career that has not yet been invented. To be clear, because of your training and thinking, you'll always, in whatever you do, be a mathematician, even as at the same time you're doing something completely new. But the point of this kind of thinking is to not just become a cog in a machine, to take a kind of job that existed 30 or 40 years ago, that'll exist 30 or 40 years from now, but to build something completely new. Okay, one more question. Which of you are possibly going into teaching as a major part of your profession? Raise your hand. To you, especially in our current times, we owe our gratitude, as yours is an incredibly fundamental role whose value and importance is not sufficiently recognized, to our great peril. And to help me make that point, let me ask another question to all of you, including the wider audience, which is, who among you had one or more teachers before college who fundamentally changed the course of your life or the lives of others around you? Raise your hands. Okay, so this is why this is so important. Amen. Okay, now which of you are the first in your family to complete a college degree? Or maybe more generally, which of you is this degree really a new first in your family, in whatever sense you find reasonable? Raise your hand. I just want you to know that not only are your ancestors proud of you, but we, the wider community, stand in awe of what you've done. And this is why this institution exists. Finally, among the graduates, during your time as a student, who among you dealt with some serious adversity in public or in private, short or long, that really shook you and really tested you? Raise your hand. Okay, so no one see this. You're not alone, and this is what achievement looks like. We wear our robes to symbolize our achievement, but recognize that underneath our robes, there's a great deal. And this is why we look out for each other. So the people in this hall are, for me, one of the central joys of being a mathematician. There's a saying that if you want to look young, you should surround yourself with old people. But if you want to feel young, you should surround yourself with young people. And your choice in this matter says a lot about who you are as a person. So similarly, if you want to feel smart, if you want to look smart, if you want to feel smart and look smart, if you want to look smart and seem like the smartest person in the room, the worst field to be in is in mathematics. But if you're most invigorated by being surrounded by brilliant people, broad people, who do all sorts of different things and stretch you in different directions in different ways, this hall right here is where you want to be. So to conclude, by all the power legally invested in me by the state of California, by the President of the United States and the United Nations, I hereby bestow on you all forevermore the title of mathematician. Thank you and congratulations, class of 2023.
Thank you, Professor Vakil. Before we go on to the main event, I would like to thank one of the many groups of people who make our commencement a very special occasion. This here at my side is the Mathematics Orchestra of Berkeley. It is directed by Maestro Michael Wong with artistic direction from Lisa Robinson. I would like to thank the members of the orchestra for their generous donation of time and skill. Let's again express our appreciation to the Mathematics Orchestra of Berkeley. In a moment, we will present the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Mathematics and Applied Mathematics. Professors Ribbett, Bergman, Eisenbud, and Hutchings will assist me in reading the names of our graduates, and Professor Bamler will present the undergraduates with their commencement scrolls. It is our custom to announce the career plans of our graduates to the extent that they have revealed them to us as they come forward. Some candidates will be completing their degrees a bit later in the year and may not yet have specific plans. We will be starting with the undergraduate prize winners and then with pure math students in roughly alphabetical order, followed by applied math students, again in roughly alphabetical order. Professor Ken Ribbett will begin.
And I'm going to start by reading some names that you've heard before. Zachary Slonim, highest honors. He'll be going to the PhD program at UCLA. Alexander Bouquet, highest honors, will be pursuing a PhD in mathematics. Sean Guan, honors, will be pursuing a PhD in mathematics. Rhea Kummerow, high honors, will be pursuing a PhD in mathematics at UCLA. Fang Yuan Lin, highest honors, will help people reapply to PhD programs in the next cycle. Wade McCormick, highest honors, pursuing a math PhD at Northwestern University. Siddharth Menon, high honors, PhD in mathematics in the future. Lakshay Patel, highest honors, PhD in mathematics, also at Northwestern. Richard Wu, quant research. Aaron Agolnik, honors, PhD in mathematics at Northeastern. Maxwell Black, highest honors. Alex Fu, high honors, PhD in mathematics. Henry Purcell, highest honors, pursuing a PhD in theoretical physics. Vibhu Ravindran, honors, future plans, graduate school in theoretical physics. Here's Zane Shields, highest honors, PhD in mathematics at UC San Diego. Wei Sun, high honors, PhD in mathematics at Johns Hopkins University. Alec Lee, high honors, fifth-year master's program in EECS at Berkeley. Isadora White, PhD in computer science at UC San Diego. Jacob Aldrich, pursuing a career in research and data science. Isabella Arcolio, David Awakim, excited to make impactful work everywhere he goes. Lee Borg applied to PhD programs in mathematics. John Vanaman Kavanaugh applied to grad school. Jessica Chen, honors. Zi Yang Chen, find motivation to reclaim sleep schedule. Fang Chen, PhD in mathematics at the University of Washington. Caden Chow, go Bears. Nila Sibu, PhD in statistics at the University of Washington. Veronica Esquivel, become a high school math teacher in my hometown. Noah Funk. Audrey Guang, become a high school math teacher. Shanagyan Han, AI entrepreneur. Oliver Marcus, Master of Science in Mathematics at the University of Minnesota. Michael Wang, PhD in Mathematics at USC. Alejandro Hatem. Varun Kabra, researcher at UC Berkeley Physics Department to build telescopes. Cameron Kelcha, master's at San Francisco State University. Sung-Yu Kim finished the last season of Breaking Bad. Angel Lagunas Jr., become a high school or college math teacher. Ace Harpoon Landauer, climb rocks until money runs out. Jeff Lee, master's in mathematics at Imperial College London. Noah Lee. Vint Lee, highest honors, master's in computer science. Matthew Poloni Ladiros, honors, PhD in mathematics. Lauren Hartley Leland, preparing to attend law school. Sydney Laura, data analyst at a nonprofit in New York. Michael Dong Lu, teaching high schoolers math, serving the youth, and living out God's word. Andrew Macias. Monishwaran Maheshwaran, honors, master's in electrical engineering and computer science at UC Berkeley. Nellie Mullane, finishing computer science, double major. Now is the time for me to pass the baton. My colleague, Professor George Bergman, will read the rest of the mathematics students and begin the applied mathematics graduates.
Carson Miles Newman, applied to graduate school in pure mathematics. Adan Ortiz, applied to graduate school in mathematics. Mary Petrovich. Kaya Poth, math teacher for the AmeriCorps Foster Youth Initiative Program. Rebecca Rojas, become a high school teacher in SoCal, Southern California. Alejandro Sanchez Osegueda, taking back Texas. Michelle Santiago Nunez. Javier Santillan, PhD in mathematics. Atya Satish. Olivia Schumacher, work in mathematics education. Ian Seklavi, a career in actuarial finance. Soo-Young Shim, software engineer. Cameron Shotwell, PhD in physics at University of Washington. Vaniel James Siegel, become a logician at a university. Xiaoke Song, be a person who can make others love math. Aravind Srinivasan, a career in software engineering. Yajat Thanawal, attend graduate school in physics. Vivasvat, I want to become a mathematician. Shuchi Wei, tutor. Hamlin Wu, PhD in chemistry. Christopher Ng, our 2024 university medalist. Future planned, law school. Aaron Zaks. Andrew Zhang, PhD in electrical and computer engineering at University of Maryland. A.J. Grosvenor, industry before applying to PhD programs. Arabi Achanta, solutions architect working in food security. Noah Adhikari, grad school in computer science. Juwairia Ahmed, medical school. Aaron Alarcon, moving back to Claremont. Hina Ali, a career in data science. Tai Alimelech, apply to a master's program after gaining experience within my field of interest. Caleb Alumeri, pursue a career in software engineering. Estelle Asker, global wealth management analyst at UBS. Andrew Binder, honors, research and PhD in physics. Javier Cano Rodriguez, master in material science and engineering at UC San Diego. Jonathan Carter Casper, career in finance. Rohan Chauhan, high honors, graduate studies. Shulun Chun, make the world a little different. Jared Chu, MA in statistics at UC Berkeley. Chun Xiao Chur, become an actuary. Zoe Chiat, work in policy and actuarial analysis. Enzo Kramers, master's in environmental economics at Columbia. Byron Delaney Jr., one day returning to school and getting a graduate degree in mathematics. Arnaf Devaneni, a career in quantitative finance. Amalasis Dillon, become a data scientist. Tsi Ding, on the way to become a data scientist. Ada Dwan, pursuing a career in data science and work in nonprofits. Sean Dunbar, work in data science. And now, my colleague, Professor David Eisenbud, will announce the second third of applied mathematics.
Ofelia Flores Rodriguez, a career in finance. Stephen Gao, a career in finance or analytics. Claire Goto, sorry. Paris Saeed, Daniel George, CEO of Google. Venica Gogineki, work in fintech. Justin Gonzalez in applied math. Shannon Gould, live in mom and dad's basement. Michael Haroon, break into finance or consulting or continue studies in AI. Stefan Inzer, pursue statistics PhD at the University of Washington. Enhui Jian, graduate school in math or education. Nicole Katibi, PhD in math. Li Shihao, Masters in Computer Science at Cornell Tech. Annie Lin, build the creative technologies as graphics engineer. Isaac Ray Chung Lin, get my MBA and pursue a career in finance. Tim Lin, software engineer working in the Bay Area. Yu Hao Chum, develop urban air mobility systems for China and the USA. Xingyu Liu, enjoy life and mental health again. Young Lu, career in something. Mitchell Lu Chua, a career in physics. Billy Ma. Shinyan Mai. Jack Mango, Graduate School for Physics at Harvard. Tyler Marino, Big Things Coming. Aaliyah Martin, Data Scientist at Capital Group. Vasily Mikanini, work on climate-related engineering projects and research. Casey Jean Messersmith, California Public Employees Retirement System Investment Associate. Michael Miller, become a data scientist. Arya Mohanty, a career in data science. Jaden Moodley, become an actuary. Vanessa Navarro, returning to Berkeley in fall for Masters in Data Science. Anya Nosa, pursue a career in medicine. Jeremiah O'Connor, software engineer at Datadog. Teresa Oliveira, software engineer at Amazon. Christopher Ortiz Arias, research in quantum mechanics. Ashish Pandian, honors, MS in computer science at Berkeley. June Park, apply for medical school. Brandon Fan, apply to graduate school in data science. Armand Phelps, pursue graduate studies in theology. Alan Quiroz Martinez, become a financial analyst, manager, or an actuary for a sports team. Anurag Rao, Adriana Rosales. And now my colleague, Professor Michael Hutchings, will finish reading the applied math graduates.
Samara Sehgal, a career in financial services consulting. Allison Savage Brooks, energy consulting in New York. Adit Saxena, trader at Trillium Trading. Matthew Sagan, pursue a graduate degree in statistics. Aditi Sen, a career in computational research and software engineering. Rahul Shah, High Honors, Graduate School in CS at UC Berkeley. Yongjan Shi, FinTech. Paolo Cichon, data analyst for a company, math instructor, applied to graduate school, focusing in data analysis. Tianchong Song, software engineer at Amazon. Anish Srinivas, Zoe Sudit, Derek Sun, attend graduate school in computer science. Shreyas Karthik Swaminathan, highest honors, PhD in statistics. Saya Toluri, a career in finance. Shin Tong, graduate school. Yuan Tian, graduate school in data science. Kara Tran Wright, a career in trading at BNP Paribas. Kavish Trivedi, PhD in applied physics at Columbia. Arthur Utnamer, my plan is to work and study for graduate school. Angelica Valera Martinez, be involved in work that uplifts first-generation low-income students pursuing higher education. Ethan Valerie, a career in data science with a focus on biotechnology. Lavinia Van Hamel Platterink, Arjun Venkatesh, systems engineer at General Atomics. Vivek Verma, MS in ECS at Berkeley. Chunlu Wang, be a billionaire or a millionaire. Jeannie Catherine Wang, product manager at Microsoft. Jenny Wang, master's at UCLA. Leah Wang. Shufei Wang. Yitong Wang, Master in Computational Science at Rice University. Zhuyao Wang, applied to graduate school. Christian Wise, software engineer at Chick-fil-A. Kai-Fei Xu, master's in ECS at Berkeley. Xiang Yu Xu, continue to be a math lover. Fan Jia Yan, fifth-year master at Berkeley. Santai Yang, PhD in applied physics at Yale University. Sangwoo Yu. Ming-Yu Yu, highest honors, PhD in math at Notre Dame. Ashley Zhang. B. Lian Zhang, become a quantitative analyst. Eric Zhang. Daniel Zhao, Masters in CS and AI at UCSD. Max Zubatov, applied at Graduate School in Computer Science.
Will the bachelor students please stand? Family and friends, please join me in congratulating our class of 2024. Graduates, you may now move the tassel on your cap from the right side to the left. We now award the master's degrees. Professor Scanlon will assist me. Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Arts in Mathematics please come forward? Francis Dean, thesis title, Developing Medical Digital Twins from Image Data in an Inverse Problem Framework Using Neural Networks. Advisors, Michael Lindsay and Bernd Sturmfels. Michael Hines, thesis title, Kronecker Product Preconditioners and Agglomeration-Based Multigrid for Galerkin Discretizations. Advisor, Per-Olof Pearson. Guests, please join me in celebrating this great accomplishment. Francis and Michael, congratulations. We now proceed to award the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The PhD is the highest academic degree that can be achieved in mathematics. It represents years of dedicated scholarship, mastery of the subject, and individual originality and creativity in a new contribution to knowledge. It is my pleasure to call forward the candidates who have earned the right to be called doctor. Will the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Logic and the Methodology of Science, Mathematics, and Applied Mathematics please come forward? Professor Scanlon will assist me, and the PhD advisors, if they're here today, will hood their students.
I will start with a candidate for the PhD in Logic and the Methodology of Science. Sridhar Ramesh. Who earned his doctorate with a dissertation entitled Introspective Theories in Geminal Categories. His advisor is Dana Scott and myself, at least technically. He'll be hooded by Dana Scott. Don't know how? Okay, well, we can do it together. We'll do it together. Dana. Next are the candidates for the PhD in mathematics. Yulia Alexander. Who wrote a dissertation entitled From Voronoi Cells to Algebraic Statistics. Her advisors are Bernd Sturmfels and Serkan Hoshtin. She'll be hooded by Serkan Hoshtin. Esme Bejo. Whose dissertation is the combinatorics of H-star polynomials of rational polytopes. She was advised by Matthias Beck and Sylvie Cortel. She'll be hooded by Matthias Beck. James Dix. Who wrote the dissertation Ribbon Concordances and Representation Varieties, advised by Ian Eagle, be hooded by Roy Zhao. Ethan DeLuigi. Wrote a dissertation entitled The Borel Representation and Euclidean Cone Surfaces, advised by Ian Eagle, be hooded by John Olanji. Larson Linov. Wrote a dissertation entitled Properties of Nautoids and Z-Tangles, advised by Ian Eagle, will be hooded by Michael Hutchings. Xiang Long Ni wrote a dissertation, Free Resolutions, Linkage, and Representation Theory, and will be hooded by his advisor, David Eisenbud. Isaac Altman wrote a dissertation entitled Randomly Perturbed Berezin-Toeplitz Operators, advised by Maciek Zworski, and will be hooded by Michael Christ. Benjamin Pinault wrote a dissertation entitled On Low Regularity Dynamics for Quasi-Linear Dispersive Equations and Free Boundary Problems, advised by Daniel Totaro, and will also be hooded by Michael Christ. Tahsin Safat wrote a dissertation entitled Tamely Ramified Automorphic Function Theory of the Rational Function Field, advised by David Nadler, be hooded by Alexander Pollan. Zhiwen Zhao wrote a dissertation entitled Algebraic Structures of Fixed-Point Fluor Homology of Den Twists, be hooded by his advisor, Michael Hutchings. Zirei Zhao wrote a dissertation entitled On Multilinear Oscillatory Integrals and Associated Maximal Functions, be hooded by her advisor, Michael Christ. Tong Chao wrote a dissertation entitled A Microlocal Study of Atoll Sheaves and Positive Characteristic, advised by David Nadler and will be hooded by Martin Olson. Max Zubkov wrote a dissertation entitled Topology of Principally Regular Matrices, advised by David Nadler and will be hooded by John Wilkening. We'll move on now to the candidates for the PhD in Applied Mathematics. Yulong Dong wrote a dissertation entitled Quantum Signal Processing Algorithms and Its Applications, advised by Lin Lin and Brigitte Whaley, to be hooded by John Wilkening. Ray Hyun Kim wrote a dissertation entitled Advancements in Density Matrix Embedding Theory and Moire Material Simulations, advised by Lin Lin and will be hooded by Ming Gu. Jisu Wang wrote a dissertation entitled Mathematical Aspects of Quantum Signal Processing, was advised by Lin Lin, and will be hooded by Michael Lindsay. Haixiang Zhang wrote a dissertation entitled Provably Efficient Algorithms for Non-Convex Optimization with Benign Structures, was advised by Javad Levay and John Wilkening, and will be hooded by John Wilkening.
Thank you, Professor Scanlon. Will the PhD students please stand? Family and friends, once again, please join me in congratulating our new doctorates. As we close this portion of today's program, I would like to thank the many people who helped make this such a fine occasion. Again, I wish to thank the Mathematics Orchestra at Berkeley under the direction of Maestro Michael Wong. Michael, please take a bow with your players. I thank the faculty and students of the math department, without whose hard work we would have nothing to celebrate here. I would also like to thank the staff of the mathematics department. Our students know how important the staff is to the sense of community in our wonderful department, and I'd like to reaffirm this importance to everyone here. Let's give a hand. I will now ask the audience to stand and to please remain in your places for the recessional. Once again, let me congratulate our graduates.